R and visualization, a match made in heaven, right? It's a very catchy webinar title, and needless to say that this webinar will give you a lot of insights. There is a lot of content to be covered. Rather than running through the slides, you know, we will spend a lot of time running the actual R code and trying to understand on how R helps you with the data visualization aspect. So what is it that we are going to discuss in today's session? We will have a basic understanding of data visualization as a profession. We will create basic and advanced graphs in R. We're going to change colors and see how the visualization is going to appear. We're going to customize few graphical parameters. We are going to learn about the basics of grammar, of graphics. And last but not the least, we are going to look into spatial analysis, visualization using R. What is data visualization? Data visualization is all about representing the data which humanly you cannot view and make sense out of that, right? It's not always about focusing on the aesthetics of your visualization. You're trying to tell a story. You're trying to represent your numbers in a graphical format so that it's easy for the audience. That is your prime objective. And your another prime objective is to drive and bring about interesting insights from your visualization. And these insights which you're planning to bring about should help you make better decisions. Look at this, for example. If I give you this kind of a visualization, right, or not visualization, these numbers in tabular format, would this be easy for you? Would that be easy for me to look into each and every number there and try to make some sense out of that? And would it be easy for me to remember these numbers or remember the kind of relationship that exists between two variables? For example, miles per gallon and cylinder. There is a negative correlation. And if this number is closer to -1, that means there is a strong correlation or strong relation between these two variables, which is miles per gallon and cylinder. By the way, this is R code. I am going to jump into R and show you all those things, right? Now look at this number here, 0.9020. That's the correlation number between cylinder and probably displacement. Since it has a positive number, there's a positive correlation between these two variables. And since this number is closer to +1, you say that there is a strong positive correlation, right? Instead, how can you utilize this? Or how can you better represent this? Let me show you another visualization. Look at this. This is our code, so forget that for now. Let us focus on the visualization. This visualization is the same thing. It's the same thing which is represented in this table. Now, if you see here, things which are in red indicates a negative relationship between two variables, and things which are shown in blue color explain about the positive relationship between two variables. What does that mean? Let me go for a spotlight. Okay, here is a spotlight. So this blue color here is showing the relationship between number of cylinders and the displacement. And by looking at this blue, it's clear that the relationship is positive, and the darker the color, more is a correlation. So I know for a fact that this dark blue means there's a stronger correlation between cylinder and displacement in comparison to this blue here. What is this blue here explaining you? This blue, light blue, is explaining about the relationship between DRAD and QSEC, whatever those variables mean, right? That's the relationship. Here, let me show you another interesting insight. Okay, let look at the spotlight. It's hovered on one particular cell there. That is a relationship between horsepower It's the relationship between horsepower and your gear. Horsepower and gear, that's the relationship. By looking at this, it's extremely clear for me that the relationship between these two is negative. However, it's not very negative there because it's light color. Now, do you all agree with me that data visualization is much better than just using the numbers in this format? What do you guys think? What is better? Representing these kind of numbers to your senior management and trying to confuse them, or show this kind of visualization which compresses all these values in this format, which will be easier for you to remember for a longer duration? Obviously, right? Obviously. Yes, Smita says, yes, the visualization is better. Needless to say that, right? So we will discuss in a while from now, and we will run through each and every code in R and try to understand that. Intention is not to learn the R code in 1 hour. Intention is to understand what are the various visualizations which R has capability to. Here is Stephen Few on what an effective data visualization should look like. It should be simple. It should provide you with a provision to compare two things. You should be able to attend to that, attend to the data and take some action on top of that. It should give you a provision to explore the data, view diversity, right? View the differences and ask questions on why is that so? Why is there a strong correlation between two variables? Or why is there a weak correlation between two variables, right? And be skeptical and respond. So these are 8 core principles as mentioned by Stephen Few. There are a lot of other data visualization concepts. There are a lot of concepts, principles by Tufte and all that, right? You need to rely on these basic principles. If not, you might screw up your visualization. Any person who knows the basics of data visualization would be sitting, would most probably be sitting as part of your audience there, to whom you're displaying your data. So it always makes sense to know the basics of the data visualization concept and then come up with your R visualization in that. So these are the basic graphs in R. Pie chart, never use them. Look at that bracket. Use them very, very cautiously. Use pie charts only if you are trying to compare two categories, male, female, fail, pass rate. In that way, do not use it for any other purpose there. I mean, if you look into the data visualization principles, it says so. Scatter plot, line graph, bar graph, sunflower plot, right? There is a concept called overplotting. Overplotting is nothing but plotting multiple graphs in a single view, right? If you're trying to establish a line graph, then if you're trying to establish a linear trend, then line graph makes more sense. Histograms, rug plot, density plot, box plots, all of these are extremely important, right? And now let me take you to R rather than bore you with the slides, running through the slides. Let me do this, right? And let me erase all the data here. And this is R Studio, which is GUI based graphical user interface. Here is my R, but R is very blunt and it doesn't have a lot of graphical user interface. Though it says R GUI there, it's not graphical user interface. This is more user friendly, so let me use that. There are a lot of inbuilt data sets in R, and this command called data of emptycars is going to actually call this particular inbuilt data set. So R says, if you want to practice me, I have a lot of inbuilt data sets. Rather than you worry about getting a data set and working on that, you can use the inbuilt data sets. And this view is a command which will actually help you view on what are the various observations and what are the various variables available for your analysis in this data set called emptycars. So we have 11 variables, 11 columns there, and we have 32 observations. So all the car names here are the observations. So in total, you'll have 32 rows, and 11 columns. That information is given there. Now, this is a command, and the output of this was shown in the slide for you, right? When does it make sense? More sense? Oh no, I don't think so. I cannot remember even 10 of these numbers. I cannot remember probably 6, 7 of these numbers if I move to the next slide or go to a different view. So that is how complicated the numbers make our life, right? So let us make it power winner. You might have not heard me for just a couple of seconds or so. Yeah, so this is a library which is called as collection of various functions and code which people have written in the past, right? So let me run that library. What am I doing here? I'm trying to load lines of code and functions which have been written previously, and I'm trying to make use of that rather than rewrite the code. So within this package, there are a lot of parameters, there are a lot of functions which are available which can be readily used. Hence, we are loading that particular library called Corellogram. Now, if I run this command called Corellogram of empty cars, this is a visualization which I see here. Let me zoom that. There we go. Now, after looking at this visualization for a quick 2 seconds, even if I move to a different slide, right, or a different page or a different view, you will be able to recollect for a fact that, hey, relationship between miles per gallon and cylinder is dark red. That means it's negative. Simple. Even if I close that, you'll be able to remember that. But do you remember what were those numbers? No. Most people would not remember that the number was minus 0.8521620, right? This is where visualization in R makes your life very easy. Iris is yet another data set, inbuilt data set within R. Let me view and show you that also. View of Iris. This command is actually going to show you on what are the components of this. So you have the species, petal width, petal length, sepal length, and sepal width. You have this information, right? So you have 5 variables and multiple observations there, 150 observations. Let us plot this data and see what happens. When you plot this data, all it has done is it has plotted a scatter plot for me. And the moment I look into this observation here, let me see whether it's going to draw or not. No, so let me choose spotlight there. Here, the relationship between petal length and petal width here is a positive correlation because it's in the upward direction there. So it's clear now, right? Even using Scatterplot, you can establish the relationship. What is the relationship between petal length and sepal length? Here it is. It's a positive relationship and it's a mirror image. If I draw a straight line, a diagonal there, if I draw a diagonal on this chart, a straight diagonal there, it's a mirror image. That's your Scatterplot all about. And I see that someone has raised a hand and gone like, okay. Instead of looking into the relationship between all the variables which are available in a particular data set, can we look into the relationship between only 2 variables? I want to look into the relationship only between sepal length and species. Can I do that? Oh yes. We use the same command plot, iris dollar sepal length. What does that say? I'm choosing this particular column sepal length from this data set called iris. And I plot that. This is X and Y, right? When you plot this, you plot in this way. Plot X comma Y there. So here on the Y-axis you have species and on the X-axis you have sepal length. You're just trying to look into what is a kind of relationship, right? As for this particular species 3, the sepal length is higher in comparison to the second and the first one. First, hey, extremely sorry on, not sure what's this Murphy's law here, right? So, Kavita, are you able to hear me now? Folks, yeah, perfect. So, by looking into these kind of graphs, it's extremely easy for you to check on what's happening rather than, let me take you to this iris data set. Hey, look into species and look into sepal length and make some sense out of that. If that's my question, and if I scroll up and down, what is a kind of relationship that you can draw by looking into 150 entries there? It would be overwhelming, right? Extremely difficult task. Hence, we resort to these kind of techniques. Now, if I draw another plot, this is called as box plot. What is a box plot? A box plot shows what is the minimum value. This line here, bottom line, is called as a minimum value, right? And this line here is called as first quartile. From the minimum value to the first quartile, you have 25% of the data which is represented. All you need to do is run this code par mf row, right? CF3, 2. What does that do? Rows, columns. So all you're saying is I want 3 rows and 2 columns. Within that space, I want to create the next few visualizations. So let us create this first one. Then look at that. It has created a sunflower plot, the first one. But what is our take here? We can create a lot of plots within the space, right? So let us run the second one. There you go. We have the second one. Here is a third chart. Here is a fourth one. Here is a fifth one. And here is a sixth one. What did this command do? 3, 2. It has created 3 rows and 2 columns for you. And if I zoom it, there you go. You have come up with a sunflower plot, right? Normal plot. You have come up with a box plot. You have come up with a line plot, density plot, and then the histogram. All in one, right? Is it so simple in other visualization tools? I don't think so, right? Also, we can do a lot of labeling here. Yeah, Kaushik, it's extraordinary, truly. Now look at this. You can beautify your table. Here, I'm giving the main heading as exam title there. I'm saying I want these circles to appear in blue color. Just color is equal to blue. Main is equal to exam title, the main title there. X label, right? You're giving a label to the x-axis there, miles per gallon. You're giving a label to the y-axis, y label, number of cylinders, right? Compare this with this, right? This second plot is a plot without adding any title or the subtitle or without labeling the x-axis and the y-axis. This is how it would appear. But you can beautify that using this command. Can I actually change the background color? Absolutely. What is the command? BG is equal to yellow. Background. Now, if I draw this plot, it gives me with a background blue color. Remember this, that you're coupling the statistics, the power of analytics with visualization here. That's the key thing, right? 2 in 1. You're getting your job done with analytics and also simultaneously you're getting a visualization come up here. And this broomstick here will help you actually get rid of all those things, all the previous things. Now let us create another view. 3 rows, 2 columns. Let me run all of these histograms. And look at how you can play with the colors there. Wow. If you say color is equal to heat dot colors of 7, it gives you 7 colors. And there's the heat, right? The fire, flame, kind of. Terrain, green, brown, this is the terrain. Topo color, CM, right? Rainbow colors. So you can do all these things in R. You can make as aesthetically pleasing visualization as possible, and this is the package which helps you do that. R Color Brewer, right? You need to load this package. Once you load this package, you can actually make use of its strength to a great extent. So now let us create 2 rows and 3 columns there. Okay, and that is what it means, right? Rows comma columns. Now I'm trying to come up with all the histograms. All you're doing is you're saying brewer.pal and 3 8 set 1 set 2 set 3 grays greens. All this is available in this package, R Color Brewer, and that gives you these kind of sets, set 1 set 2 set 3. What does that mean? What color does that relate to, and all that. And you can come up with this kind of very beautiful visualization. Now there is yet another package which is called as hexbin. Now you can use hexbin if you want to represent a lot of information. So let me do that, right? If it is not available, right? If it says, hey, hexbin function was not available, if you get that kind of an error message, all you need to do is use this command called install.packages. You'll be able to install this particular package called hexbin and then load that, and you can do a lot of things. So let me draw this. What is it that you're trying to view here? You're trying to view number of species, sepal length, and also the count. The darker it is, more the number of values that are there on this. Now you might ask me, can you explain by showing iris dataset? Meanwhile, let me take your questions. Can R be used on unstructured datasets, since most of big data is in unstructured format? Absolutely, Dilip. R is used to bring your unstructured data to a structured format. That's the strength of R, right? That's absolutely that's the strength of R, right? So let me go to hexbin there and try to run that code and show you on what's happening here. Okay, there you go. Oh, I have not loaded this package. Now if I run this, it's going to show me this. So what does this actually mean? Or let me close this and let me use this visualization only so that it becomes easier for you all. So here we are representing species, and species 1, 2, and 3 is nothing but the Setosa and versicolor and virginica, right? There are only 3 categories or 3 levels within this factor called species. So you have 1, 2, and 3. Against that you have the data represented or plotted, right? Now, and you see that there is sepal length here on the y-axis. Now if I see here, or if I see 5 against 5, I see the darkest plot. Darkest plot says 11, 11, 10, right? So a lot of values are for with respect to species 1, which is Setosa here. There are a lot of values whose sepal length is 5 or 5.2, 5.1 on those lines. So look at this, 5.1, 5.0, 5.0, and if I scroll it down like that, you'll see that there are a lot of 5s there, right? So that is what it means. From 5 to 6, there are a lot of values, but exactly probably 5.2 or 5.1, there are 11 entries. So probably or approximately 11 values will have the length of 5.1, right? Let me show you another thing. View of iris is actually going to show you the data set here. Now let me plot something for empty cars. Empty cars is the data set of cars. Let me view empty cars. You'll be able to see this data set. Here, by running this particular command, plot hexbin empty cars $miles per gallon, all you're saying is, hey, plot miles per gallon against cylinders. So always plot will be in this format, plot x comma y. What are we doing here? We are plotting miles per gallon from this dataset empty cars. So you see empty miles per gallon on the x-axis and cylinders on y-axis. How many cylinders do we have? If I go here, 6, 4, and 8. Even if I scroll up and down, those are the three numbers that you would see. So I have 4-cylinder vehicle, 6-cylinder car, and 8-cylinder car. And what does this hexagon here say? For example, if we look into 8-cylinder vehicle, which provides a mileage of say 16, there are 4 such vehicles. So what am I trying to display? Using this one graph, though it seems to be a two-dimensional thing, I'm trying to incorporate three things here. One is miles per gallon, another is cylinder, and the third thing is the count of that. So that's a good part about this hex bin, right? Now let us load this table plot and let me plot that. There you go. This is an enhancement to your already available visualizations which we have seen until now. So you're representing sepal length, sepal width, petal width, and you're also coming up with the corresponding species there. And each of these colors represent that species. And this actually shows you the percentage, or by just looking into this particular visualization of species, it's clear that, hey, it seems like there are very few versicolor, right, species, very few. That is what I sense. And another thing that I can actually sense here is that for Setosa, I see that the petal width, length, and the sepal length is actually reducing there, right? Let me show you with empty cars. Miles per gallon, right, versus cylinder. As in how the number of cylinders increase, my mileage or miles per gallon is coming down. And you can establish additional relationship here on number of cylinders versus horsepower. Both of these are contributing to lower miles per gallon. Right, and you can come up with a lot of interesting insights if you spend a lot of time on this. Let me move on and explain about a few more. This is for diamonds dataset, but let me install this and show you another interesting visualization which is called as mosaic. This particular visualization is something that I like the most because it shows a lot of interesting insights. Look at this. This is showing you on how many folks were boarded on Titanic ship, how many were on first class, second class, third, and crew members who will actually cater to these people who are on the ship. It is also giving me information on how many male versus how many female were boarded in each and every class. And also it's showing me information about how many children and how many adults were there. Clearly, the number of children were more in your third class, and the female children were far more in comparison to the male side there. And do you know what this data is all about? How many people survived and how many people died, right? So here you have the survived information. Survived no, survived yes. So if you see here, with respect to the crew, a lot of female, right? A lot of female survived in comparison to male. So the preference was given to them while they were trying to save. And look at how many male crew members actually died, right? And if you look into the first class, almost all the female child survived, and also almost all the adults survived. So by looking into this simple mosaic graph, I'm able to look into the class information, the gender, sex, age, adult or children, and also whether they have survived or not. 4 things are displayed in this particular simple visualization. On a 2D space, you're trying to display 4 dimensions. That's the beauty, and you are easily able to make sense out of that. Let me show you heat map. This is called as a heat map. So let me expand that further. Now, what does this actually say? This is called as dendrogram. Dendrogram. What does a dendrogram say? Dendrogram says that, hey, these are the various things which can be clubbed together. So for example, this is one cluster, one segment, all these things here. What does that mean? These vehicles, right? Maserita Bora until your probably Camaro or Duster, right? All these vehicles belong to one segment with respect to all these variables, with respect to the number of cylinders, right? Weight, gear, number of gears, miles per gallon, horsepower, displacement. If you look into all these particular variables or attributes, these cars here can be clubbed together. This is the cluster dendrogram which is saying so. And if you look into here, probably all these things fall into one cluster. All these fall into one cluster. And the corresponding cars are of similar nature with respect to these parameters. And that is what this means. Now let me show you interesting stuff around maps. So forget about the code which was written there, but you can come up with this kind of interesting maps also. When you want to display maps of a particular country, of a particular state, you can do so. Let me show you India so that it's easier for you to understand that. Okay, all the while it was telling that you need to install this package. So I think here it has caught me on back foot. So let me install this. So this message clearly says that this package is missing there, right? So the bug message which you receive on R is also so easy for you to actually trace that. It's saying that there's no package called RCPP. So simply install that. How? Using the command install.packages, right? Once I install that, if I load the package once again, it's going to work wonders. So just give me a minute here while this package is getting downloaded. In this way, you also know on how to deal with the bugs. And once it's installed, you need to load it using the command called library there. There we go. Now let me see whether raster is available or not. Perfect. It got loaded now without any error. So let me try to get the data based on the altitude for country India, and let me plot this. This red symbol says that an operation is in progress, and there we go. I have India map here and you have the altitude here, and we know for a fact that those which are towards the Himalayan region, Jammu Kashmir, there are a lot of mountains and it's high altitude region, also your eastern part as compared to the other locations. Altitude is measured against the sea level there. Now let me actually get the data of probably Gujarat, because that's a state which is most spoken about when it comes to your development and all that. So here, this is how the data would be in GADM, right? Graphical, geographical information. Now I want the first name there, and let me call this one as Gujarat, and let me plot that. Look at that. Here we have Gujarat. All right. So in this way, you can come up with all the interesting insights and actually show what's the population growth in each state, right? Which particular district within this state is densely populated, what is the male female ratio, right? And all these kind of things can be displayed. This is in short about the kind of visualizations which you can perform on R. We have completed just on time. So we have 5 minutes. I'll be taking your questions for the next 5 minutes. Please ask me if you have any questions. Yeah, Bharat, all our presets coming with it. Ganeshwar has this question. I'm in Java for more than 6 years. Is it a good idea to move to analytics and data science? How could be the jobs for the people like me? All I would request you to do is go to Naukri, Monster, Times Job, Dice, and all that, and do a search for your own, Gyaneshwar, because since I'm taking this session, I might give you an information which might be false also, right? So you can do a search and make sense out of that. But if you ask me, the answer is simple. Java professionals are most sought after when it comes to analytical space because you'll be able to write the code which is far more advanced. By the way, you can write Java code in R also, right? And you guys are the most sought after. There are plethora of opportunities awaiting your way. Bharat says, do we need to install everything? No, Bharat, all these are preset, built-in commands which I've used in R. Tanmoy has this question. Is the heat map capability of R better than that of quantum GIS? I am not quite sure on that, Tanmoy. Are you speaking about quantum computing part there? So I need to explore that before I make a statement there. Let me take the question of the leap. Which one of SAS and R is more powerful when it comes to data handling? It's R. The leap because 2 million folks are using R and each one of them is contributing to the R development there. And within SAS, how many people might be working in developing the SAS product, right? So R, I would rate R if you ask me. That's my view. So Bharat says, yes, there's a nice question about quantum. So quantum computing is the next big thing. It would overtake your cloud storage and all that, your data centers in cloud, and it will be quantum computing. One quantum computing infrastructure would be equivalent to probably 100 cloud data centers. Tanmay, where do Excel stand in comparison to R comes to data analysis? Raviteja, Excel is nothing. Even if you use advanced Excel, it's nothing. Probably it will perform 5% of the operations which R can perform. R is a core analytical tool. VB, no, you cannot match. R is unmatchable when it comes to analytical space. So since most of you guys are asking that, let me take you to something interesting and show you Google Trends. Right, let me show you Google Trends on R and SAS and other stuff. You said that one can write Java code in R, so can we write the code in PHP as I belong to PHP background? If you know the coding, Raunak, all that you're doing to yourself is a world of good, right? Because you're coming so closer to the coding part. And if you can implement the best practices of PHP and other coding technologies, it will be very easy. And you guys will pick up fast. So look at this. Let me show you SAS. It's dipping there. And I'm doing this live. I'm not using this from a database of my own. This is from Google. So if you do not believe Google, do not believe on what I'm searching here. SPSS, the trend is steadily decreasing, but let us compare all these three head on. And let me show you what's happening with R. The trend for R is only increasing and you cannot compare. It's as simple as that. And even the forecast is saying that R would keep growing tremendously. Tanmoy, so I need to explore that, Tanmoy, and probably at the end of this session, when you close your window, there will be a survey window. Please drop in this query and then one of us will get back to you. Delete. Which beginners program I shall opt if I'm looking for career in data analytics? Edureka has one thing on mastering data analytics with R. That is what any beginner or intermediate person would opt for. And there is one thing around advanced predictive modeling with R. That's for the expert level. So that would be the start position for you. Do I have any more questions from you all? Okay, Raviteja has this question. Is there any background requirement for becoming data scientist? To become a data scientist, you should be well versed with statistics, forecasting, data mining techniques, along with visualization. So you need to undergo any one training. Qualification, no. If you're a graduate, that's good enough. And the good thing which people see is, say you're a BCom graduate, that means you have good hands-on on commerce. So you can utilize your domain experience of commerce and come up with some predictive models. So in that sense, you have an edge, right? So all I'm saying is you need not be a beta graduate or a B graduate or an engineering graduate or an MBA graduate. You need to possess sufficient domain knowledge and you need to know these data scientist core skills. You can use R. R is the tool using which we accomplish all the data mining techniques, Bharat. Civil engineers, so you can utilize Raviteja, your experience in probably predicting on what should be the quantity of asphalt to lay road, right? And you can actually predict on what will be the life of the bridges, what will be the life of the houses if you build a particular pillar or anything using a particular of steel or iron, and in those lines you can do a lot of things. Is Hadoop training mandatory? Okay, Srinath has this question. I'm a beginner, may I know where to install R? You just need to do R download, Srinath, and you'll be able to go to the appropriate page and download R. Indeed, okay. Is Hadoop training mandatory for data scientist career? No, absolutely no, Mohan. But good to know. Bharat, even a person from commerce domain? Absolutely. Any more questions for me? Or are we done? If there are no more questions, then thank you so much for attending the session. If there are any questions, I'll take that. I'll take those now. So Bharat has this question. I have an experience in IT of handling real-time servers. When will a server go down, Bharat? When will your network go down? When will your server crash? You can do all those predictions if you know analytics. Shaker has this question. R is a tool where we can run the commands to show the visualization. Yes, Shaker, absolutely. And you can not just run the commands, you can tweak your commands to such an extent that the visualization actually tells your own story. Yeah, thank you so much, Tanmoy. Which one is used more in industry, SaaS or R? Dilip, SaaS is used in companies which have already been using that. And off late, since 2013, R has picked up and it's R. Now the world is asking you to know R. How effective is using R in conjunction with Tableau is what Prachi's question is. It's extremely effective. R does your analytics like, like no other tool. And Tableau is the best data visualization tool. So if those two come together, you can do wonders. So Shekhar's question is where coding part comes into picture. Coding part comes into picture not just for your visualization, but to do each and every analysis. Be it building a predictive model, be it dealing with the data, everything. But the coding in R is extremely easy. Can we develop the predictive modeling? Absolutely, Kumar. Kumar Shravan has this question, can we develop predictive models using R? R's primary role is building your predictive models. Kavita has this question, how about JSperSoft? I haven't used that, Kavita, much, so I'm naive to that. I should not be commenting on that. That's what I would say. And does Python and R go hand in hand? Absolutely, Mohan. Python and R are two pillars of analytical space. How useful is Hadoop? Hadoop is very useful in dealing with the big data, but Hadoop does not have the capability of building your predictive modeling, forecasting the future. All that cannot be done. Yeah, Kumar. R can be used for forecasting using time series techniques and all that. For prediction, first require the data. Absolutely, Bharat. You need to require the data, but R also can be used to extract the data. Whatever unstructured data that you can think about. It can be image, it can be an audio file, it can be a video file, it can be social media information. You can use R to extract that also. And what are languages which are support C, C++, and all that is supported by R, Shekhar? Yeah, today's session would be shared across with you all, Prachi. All right, friends, thank you so much for attending the session. Hope this was helpful. How do we have commands in R to fetch data from different types of file types? Oh, there are different commands for that, Dilip. Read.csv is going to extract the data from your CSV format. Read.text would actually get the data from a table or text format. So in that way, there are a lot of commands available. Basic statistics with R, you can look into that. That's a good book to get started, Gyaneshwar. Thank you so much, Shekhar. It was nice talking with y'all, or interacting with y'all rather. Thank you, Jaffer. Yeah, or you have something called as business fundamentals with statistics, Gyaneshwar. You can also refer to that. For a person who is naive on statistics, you can get started with that. All right, folks. Thank you so much. Have a great day or good night for the folks who are joining in from India.